Welcome to our weekly YouTube channel, 3-Minute Therapy Podcast and podcast on Podbean. I'm Dr. Michael Edelstein, a clinical psychologist in practice internationally, and I've written the book 3-Minute Therapy, and I'm here with my podcast partner, Mick Berry, with whom I wrote a book on public speaking anxiety called Stage Fright. We discuss matters related to REBT, Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy, and REBT is a type of therapy devised by Albert Ellis in 1955, 1956, which dramatically changed the course of psychotherapy from the old psychoanalytic model to the current cognitive behavior therapy model. REBT was the first cognitive behavior therapy, and Albert Ellis has written over 80 books. So there's plenty to read about that. Today, we're going to be discussing REBT and assertiveness. And REBT says that our emotions come from our thinking, and reality says that as well. And our disturbed emotions come from thinking in terms of demands: must, should, supposed tos, have tos. Because I prefer to do well and get your approval, therefore I absolutely must. Because I prefer you to treat me well, therefore you absolutely must. And because I would like my life to be fair, easy, and hassle-free, therefore it must be that way. And when we create must, we create emotional disturbance that come from this musty thinking. Today, we're going to be discussing assertiveness. And to the dictionary definition of to assert is to state a fact or belief confidently and forcefully. And it gives the example: the company asserts that the cuts will not affect development. Now, one of the main blocks to assertiveness consists of individuals who have the first demand that I mentioned: I must do well and get approval, and if I don't, I'm no good, I'm a failure. So you would like to state something, say you're in a group, and you get anxious because you think that you might be disapproved of because of what you say, so you don't assert your opinion, you act non-assertively, and that is a problem if your goal is to be assertive. The solution is question, challenge, and contradict your must. I must get approval, and show yourself you don't have to. And as long as you work toward your goal, because the advantages of doing so for you outweigh the disadvantages, then you're better off acting assertively. Mick, I'm sure you have much to add to that.
Well, actually, I don't.
Okay. So that's basically the idea of assertiveness. And Mick, do you have any final words?
That's it? That's the whole podcast?
Unless you have something you'd like to add.
We need to offer more than that. What is it that gets in the way of people being assertive? I see assertive as being, well, I'm going to try to get what I want. I'm not going to be shy about it. And I'm going to be direct in trying to get what I want and honest with people and upfront. And so what is it that gets in the way of that? Where is the demand that we make that gets in the way of that?
Yeah, so that's the demand. I must not look bad. I must not look silly. Therefore, I better withhold what I want to say or do because I might be disapproved of, and I must not. If I am disapproved of, I'm a loser.
Well,
so that often gets in the way.
Would you say that? I don't think that's the only demand, though, but you think that's the principal demand?
That's in my experience working with clients, that's the most common one. But what are some others that come to mind?
Well, nothing came to mind. I was just thinking there probably are others. I must not. Well, you said I must not appear foolish. If I want to ask somebody for something, I must not get rejected, I think would probably be one of them.
Right.
And I must be respectful of somebody else and not try to impose what I want upon something. I think
Yeah.
also a lot of times people confuse assertiveness with aggression, and they force what they want upon other people and they think they're being assertive.
That's right. If you express your opinion in a nasty way, then we could call that being hostile, angry, aggressive, that kind of things. Also, another demand that people might have that blocks assertiveness is I must not hurt anyone's feelings. And if I say this, I'll hurt feelings as I must not, and I'll prove I'm an uncaring, uncompassionate person.
Yeah, well, I think it also depends on what you mean by nasty, because I think you could be aggressive in asserting what it is that you want in a way that isn't nasty, but in a way which is forceful and inconsiderate. Now, if you're considering nasty to be forceful and inconsiderate, then yeah, it would fall
Not
under
not forceful, but
being,
inconsiderate.
well, okay, then it would fall under the category of being nasty. But I think nasty is a very general term and not nearly as specific as it could be.
Another area for of thinking that might lead to non-assertiveness is the third must, to demand on the conditions of one's life. My life must be fair, easy, and hassle-free. And if I assert myself, I'll have hassles because the person might criticize it or start an argument or things like that. And I have to avoid that discomfort. So that could be another area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, would you say assertiveness or lack of assertiveness is a big problem among human beings?
Yes, I would. I would say it is a big problem. I would say people often don't assert or express their opinions, usually not always, because they're afraid of disapproval or getting it wrong or looking silly.
Well, I think a lot of people also do assert their opinions in ways that are obnoxious. And I think the demand underneath that would be that I have to have what I want. I have to get what I want. I must have this person agree with me, and I'm going to force them to agree with me.
Yes, and underneath all these musts are preferences. I
Yeah.
pref I prefer not to be viewed as obnoxious, but I can weigh the advantages and disadvantages of that possibility and also the likelihood of that possibility, and then decide whether it's better to say what I want to say or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, would you say that governments going to war is an aggression in which they're asserting their will upon the other country and they're doing it in a nasty way?
Well, government is a collective term, and the government is made up of people. So it depends on the different people. Different people in the government might have different motives. Some might be nasty, some might be well-meaning, though confused. But so it depends on the individual person. I don't think a group can be assertive or unassertive, but individuals in the group can be.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Okay, that's all I had to say about assertiveness. Mick, did you have any more
No.
comments?
Well, how does somebody be assertive and not aggressive and in a way that's self-helping rather than self-defeating?
Oh, there's a great question. And the answer is, well, one of the answers is first establish a positive relationship with the person that you're speaking to. And one of the ways to do that is to start out by something positive, such as, I appreciate your thinking on this, and I wonder what you think about raising your hand if you want to speak rather than just interrupting, or something like that, something starting with something positive. So that's one way to do it. Also, if you have a good relationship with someone, a positive relationship, then the groundwork may already be laid for being assertive.
Yeah. Okay.
Another way, yeah, another thing you can do is start out by saying, I'd like your feedback on what I'm about to say. I could be off, so let me know what you think.
Mhm.
And then deliver your assertive message.
Yeah. So it sounds like if you already have a friendship with somebody, it's possible, it's easier to practice being assertive with them, and you could even ask them for feedback on how they're feeling about how you're being assertive.
Yeah, that's a great point. Asking for feedback is very good. And since we're imperfect humans who act imperfectly, we may come across poorly. So we can find out with the particular individual we're speaking with by asking for feedback.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, very good. So I think I would assertively state, I think we've expressed a lot of aspects of assertiveness. You might want to listen to this a few times, take notes, and practice it yourself. And if you have questions about what the results have been in your experiment, leave a comment below. I'd like to thank Chris Rossini, our tech engineer, who provides the glue for holding the engineering part together. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video, suggest subjects, volunteer, or suggest someone who might want to volunteer, and subscribe to the 3-Minute Therapy podcast to stay on the rational side of life.